Well, I got a truck in the shop, 5.3 2009 LS, and well, customer says it won't start. Well, when I turn the key, I hear things turning, and the motor turns, and I'll get to that in just a bit, but I'll show you things here first. So, first thing I knew, no compression. And this is all I need to see to know we got problems. What it sounds like to me is, my guess, broken or skipped timing chain. Something, maybe it's stretched, don't know. There's paint on the top of the bolt of the rocker arm, so I know this motor has been touched before. Something's going on in there. I've stuck a bore scope down, so I know the cylinder bores are good. What tells me that something slipped on the timing is as the piston is going down, the intake valve, the exhaust valve opens. So I know something's really off there. So I'm just curious to see. So this is what it sounds like. I've got a battery hooked up. So there you heard it. You heard a blip. So one of the cylinders has some compression, not very much. But I'll look at the footage later. Maybe you saw push some of the rocker arms moving a little bit. But yeah, engine just spins, no compression. I stuck a bore scope down it with a mirror in there, and I saw a bent valve on this one. I know all of them are bent. That one moves too. So we're gonna take heads off, we'll drop the pan. Luckily there's a two-wheel drive, so that makes dropping the pan easy. Then we're gonna take off water pump, harmonic balancer, front cover. It's a work truck. It is in rough shape, but with a little bit of work, this could be a good truck again. And so we're just gonna be doing a cheapest job possible. A good job, but cheap. We're not gonna go through the motor. I can still see cross hatching with the camera, so I know we've got good cylinders. I think I see some gouges on top of the piston, but that'll be fine. We're gonna make sure we don't have a bent rod, but valves always bend before rods do, so we should be safe there. So we're gonna start pulling things apart and get into this. So this one's fun. Well, I got one side taken off, and so the markings, I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, this guy did a good job, whoever rebuilt it. I mean, look how clean everything is. Everything that it's been recently gone through. Well, turns out we did lifters on this about a year ago. Yeah, went back and looked. Anyways, exhaust valves, yep, completely bent. Those are trashed. So yeah, head taken off. So I get to double check my work. Not that I messed up anything in this. We're going to, well, let's look here. Everything, bores look good. Cross hatching is still there. Pistons look fine. They should be, I'll double check. But everything is looking pretty good. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift the truck up, and we're gonna get the pan and the front cover off and check our timing set and see what that's looking like. So yeah, it's just kind of funny. It's like, man, whoever went through this did a pretty good job. Everything's clean. And then I find out I'm kind of the one who did it. Well, I did the heads, my brother did the assembly. So yeah, the lifters went out on it because it's got the active lifters, and so we didn't do the cam. Cam was fine, just the lifter itself went flat. So let's keep going. And actually, one thing before we keep going, we've got bent push rods. So we'll see which ones need to be replaced. Maybe we'll just replace them all. I'm not sure yet. We'll see when we get there. Well, I'm just about ready to take off the front cover. I don't know what's going to be in here. Let's find out. Yeah, I got the pan off already. You can't see anything from in there. So let's take a look. Shoot, nothing really wrong. What's going on? Everything looks normal. Let's see, maybe the chain slipped, which is I've never seen before, but let's play around and look. So part of me is thinking about just putting new valves in and slapping it together. That's a joke. Bad taste. All right. There is nothing wrong inside the front cover that you can see. But there is something wrong. And here's just to verify. So let's see here. We're gonna go on the exhaust first. Piston going down. Piston going up. This is when the exhaust valve should be opening, but no. The exhaust valve, if you can see, is opening right now as the piston is going down. It is now closed. Now the piston's going up. Now the intake is open. Now it's closed. Piston's at the top. So, yeah, if you didn't know anything, you'd be like, oh, there's nothing wrong in here. Let's slap some new valves in it and then go. No, we're gonna find out there's something either. Yes, the timing gear, the marks line up on here, and the timing gear on the timing set. So the crank gear or the cam gear, those marks line up. So we've got two things that are possible here. We've either got a stripped key on the crankshaft, or the locator pin on the camshaft gear is stripped. So we're going to take off the cam gear because that's the easiest one to get to right now. Well, you know what? We're just going to have to take the oil pump off anyways to do all this. So let's just start with the oil pump, and then we'll take off the cam gear, and we're going to find out what's going on inside there. Yep, my suspicions were right. There's the there's the cam shaft. Got the pin out, the cam gear out. Locator pin is there. So it stripped the cam locator pin. So that's fun. That means the cam's broken. So either I see if I can find a way to get that pin out so I can put a new one in, or I gotta take the motor out, which now I'm 90% of the way there, because taking the cam out, you gotta take the whole front end of the truck off to do that, or just take the motor out. So we'll figure it out. Alright, I'll admit I've never done this before, but it's working. So when I do this, I'll take my pen and as carefully as I can put a mark in the middle of the pin. And then I take my center punch and a little hammer and then tap it and do a very light tap. That way, let me just get my center punch. You know, I'll just use my pen as an example. So that way, if you tap off center a little bit, you can say if it's a little high, then you can kind of angle it and then tap down a little bit so you can get it as close to the middle as possible. Now I've got my drill. I've got a 3/32, it's 93 thousandths or so. It's a 187, so a 3/16 pin, but I want to go under the size. So I'm a little off-centered, so I'm kind of working it so I can get as close to the middle as possible. But it's drilling. That felt good. Let's see, how deep do those go though? I don't know. I thought I felt it get change in hardness a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty center. It's hard to see, but I think I got that pretty well. So it's a little hard to do, but I started off with 93 thousandths. Drilled it, made sure it was centered, play with it until it gets centered. And then I started with a 165. Is that the right number? Sounds about right. That way it's close, but not too close. And then I did a 171. No, sorry, anyways. And then I ended with a 171. So that puts me very close to under the size. So then there's just a little bit of a sleeve. So I'm gonna wait until I get a new pin so I can measure it to make sure. So it's pretty dang close. It's very close. So it's case hardened on the outside, so I can't quite pick it out. But there's still a little bit of that dowel, and I got it very close. So we're gonna wait until that dowel pin comes, so that way you can get a precise measurement on a new one. And then we're gonna put this together. So things kind of went well. Once I get that, then I'll drill it. I'm sure it's a 1875. And yeah, could be worse. Could be having to take the motor out. Okay, what I'm gonna do is the cam sprocket hole is 1875, so I've got a dowel pin for that. Boom. Let's see here, how far did that go? No, let's go a little bit more. That feels pretty good. Yep, that should be good. I think the cam is a little bit harder than the dowel pin is, so that kind of made it chip out and not cut the dowel pin. So that made it a little easier. That way it's not going to be cutting into the cam, it's going to be cutting the dowel pin because that's going to give easier. So I have a little piece. What I'll do is it's a lot longer than it needs to be. And what I'll do is that slides in a little more than I'd like, but what we'll do is it's okay because the bolt's going to hold it in place. I'm gonna trim it so it's right, and then put a little, shoot, I might not even put Loctite. I think it'll be just fine. Put the cam bolt on, the cam bolt will hold it in place. So a little bit more of a slip fit than I'd like, but that's gonna be just fine. Problem solved. Now I'm gonna order some parts, and it'll be tomorrow, and I'll get back onto this. I had some new valves on the shelf, but here's the old ones, and yeah, that's a little bent. So we got those in. I had gone through the head a year ago or so, so everything was good. what I did was I just put them in, gave them a few taps with the hammer, and here's my little pressure check. And it doesn't get much better than this. Or you know what? Well, no, that's good. We're good. But yeah, that's a small leak. That is minuscule. As it makes a few rotations, it'll seat in perfectly. So this just gives me a good testament to how, it's always good to see your work. And I can see that we've got good contact all around this valve, of course, until the very end. But yeah, it's nice to see that all the valves were good, except for being bent. It's kind of cool. But yeah, we just did a cleanup on the head, put the new valves in, and we're good to go. Alright, got all of our parts. Now, the new timing chain tensioner, or timing set, or dampener, whatever you want to call it, there's multiple names, did not come with my timing set from EPW because I'm a dealer for them. So I had to get that from Cloit. O'Reilly's had it. So I made myself, got a little piece of dowel pin and cut it to the length that I needed. Let me measure that so then you got it. If I measure it, it is 1/2 inch long. So there is no slop there. It holds pretty tight. And even if there was just the tiniest bit of slop, you're fine. Just kind of split the difference on that slot and then tighten it down because the bolt's holding it in place. Which makes me wonder, how did the bolt slip? So I kind of lined up the dots to get the cam on. And yeah, you guys know how to put one of these on. Nothing special about it. You just put one dot on the dots pointing each other. And then I'll pull the bolt back off. Let's double check our distance. Because you want the cam to go on to, you want that gear all the way up against the cam. You don't want that pin sticking out. Yep, we're good. So tapped with a hammer, it's not sticking out. If it were, you'd have a problem doing this all over again. Now we're ready to put the oil pump on. I only trust Melling. I've never really bought, and Melling does a good job with their oil pumps. I don't buy their lifters anymore. I got screwed over once. With Melling, and then once with EPW's house brand. For all I know, they could be the same. I don't know. But yeah, I got screwed over by those, so I don't buy their lifters anymore. But wow, yeah, lifters are just bad. But oil pumps, I trust Melling. They do a good job. I always add a little bit of oil into the pickup area. That just gives me assurance, because the bare metal, it's gonna take a little bit longer for it to suck up. And so you add a little bit in there, and that's gonna cause, well, a vacuum, a suction. And so that's gonna make it pump up quicker. Just that little bit. When I do, if it's easy to take the oil pump apart, I'll take them apart and then shove grease into the gears, into the cogs of the pump. Alright, that's it. So we're going to put on the front cover and then lift the truck up, put the pickup tube on. Always replace the O-ring. I've never seen it, but it's been a problem I've seen on LS's where they suck air and then you won't prime your pump. So replace that, and we're going to go underneath and put the pan back on. One thing I almost forgot, I got the cover on. It's not the end of the world. I always check my timing, and reason being, we sucked if we put all this back together and didn't even check. So I always start with, I put number 1 cylinder, I put my screwdriver on a lifter, and that should be compression, I think. I haven't felt it move yet. Okay, exhaust valve is opening with the piston up. So now the piston's at the top. So now my intake should be going down, opening with the piston going up. And you got pistons going down. Intake valve is open. Now it's at the bottom. And the valve is going, the lifter is going down. Alright, so I know I got it done. Got it right. So I always just check that. So if that made any sense. Because one time I was 180 off. I was like, what the heck is going on? Before I assembled the motor completely. So, big time saver there. Push rods don't wear out, but I mean, you saw how they were bent. Where's my push rod at? There's the hole. 6 or 7 of them were bent just by looking at them, and these are SBI. I like SBI when it comes to valve train, springs, guides, valves, push rods. It's a good source. I've never had a problem. I know on the new LS's, these break. The valve springs break on the new LS's. Dealer wants, what, 20 bucks a piece for those? You can buy, or at least my price, somewhere around $5-6 a piece. And it's good replacement. Every 5th gen LS I've done has broken those. And then so instead of going and checking every single valve, every push rod, these push rods are $238 a piece. So it's not really worth the extra time. Especially since I know 7 of them are bent just by looking. Which I'm sure you could just replace the exhaust and be just fine, because the other ones were good. But now I know I've got brand new push rods all the way around. Oh shoot, I forgot about that plate. Gotta undo everything I just did. Yep, that would have been bad. Actually, upside down. Doesn't matter. I don't think it really matters. But yeah, I've gotten this far in one day. I'm getting tired. It is exhausting working all the way in these trucks. I find best is to, I'll get there in just a bit, because who wants to watch me do this all day? When you're doing these, take your front tire off, drop it all the way onto the floor, put a block under there so you don't ruin your cement. But yeah, there you go. Little tip. Save your back. And you can reach all the way in the back without any specialty steps or anything really. So I'm just gonna get this going and get the first start up. Alright, we got harmonic balancer on only, and we've got air filter, that's all hooked up. I don't want to deal with check engine lights. And hopefully, if everything goes good, we're gonna have an easy first startup. I got no water in it. Reason being, if there is a problem, I'm not having to drain water all over again. It's gonna be fine to run for 5, 10, 20 seconds without water. So this is gonna be first startup. Oh, wait. Almost forgot oil. Yeah, that'd have been fun. Alright, I'm gonna add some oil and then we're gonna do a first startup. And when I add that, on shows and things, when they do a first startup, it's a lie. Most of the time. Sometimes they're real. But it never works out the way you want it to. It's always trial. Finally it goes. So we're going to see if I can get it. Alright, first startup. And got oil in it, filter. We're good to go this time. I don't know if that counts or not. Dead battery. So, I guess I failed. Alright, let's give this another try. Got a jumper battery hooked up. Well, I think that's a success. Actually started up really quick. I've never had that go that good. Lifters need to be pumped up a little bit, and yeah, that little tappy sound will go away after some time. That started right up. Got 60 pounds, 50 pounds of oil pressure. Looks good. So I'll check the coolant and we'll continue. But yeah, that went pretty good. It rarely happens. Now just watch. I'm gonna get lucky and no coolant leaks. That's gonna be the icing on the cake.
we go. We just got water in it. Kind of doing a run. We got good oil pressure. There we go. Good voltage. You got charging. We've got oil pressure. Water temp. It's not warmed up yet. We've got to check engine light, so we're going to find out what that is. But yeah, this one turned out pretty good. No leaks from what I can see so far. Things are looking pretty good. Not too often do you get a job that goes this smooth. Still got a little bit of clatter right there, but you know what? There we go. That'll help. Yeah, I hear a little bit of a clatter, but that can take a little while to get rid of. Sounds pretty good. That's not right though. The fans shouldn't be running right now, so I've got to figure out what's going on there. So yeah, this is actually not a lie. That was first startup on that first one, and it runs good. We're gonna shut it off. And so, not too often, everyone fakes the first start. That was legit first start. Worked good. So, I like these LS engines. They're simple. I mean, from what I looked a little bit into the timing pin, and it looks like it's a common problem. I've personally never seen it. I've built dozens and dozens and dozens of these motors, so I know them. I've never seen that before. But yeah, there you go. It's something you can do in your driveway, in your garage, wherever you're at. Something you could do at home. I'd say it took me about 6 hours to pull everything apart. The heads had already been done, so with the heads already being done, that saves a lot of work. I just put new valves in there because I had previously done the heads a year ago, and and then I'd say probably 10 hours to put it all back together and finishing touches. I got a little bit more, but I'm just going to count that into that 10 hours. Put Dex Cool in, it's just got water in it. But yeah, there's that little project there. So I hope that helps. It's not a good step-by-step process of how I do all of my stuff on this. I ain't got the time for that. This is my real job. And I'd love to someday be able to do step-by-step on every single thing. Buy GoPros, cameras, all that good stuff. Right now I just got a little Canon that I'm using. So thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.